Praise God, dear brothers and sisters. Today I want to speak to you about communicating effectively with your spouse. You see, in 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 8 it says, above all else, love each other deeply because your love covers a multitude of sins. So here is Peter saying to love each other deeply. Marriage is the unification of two people, that is male and female. There will be times when we will fail each other, mess up certain things, hurt each other, stamp on each other's feet. Surely that will be there in our life. But what is important is to see how we can, how to live out effectively married life. So how can we meet our spouse's emotional needs? Yeah, that is very important. How can we communicate? We can only communicate effectively when we know what is our emotional needs of our spouse. Then only we can have a long and loving married life. Okay. So in introduction, there's a beautiful book written by Gary Chapman saying this. It's called The 5 Love Languages. I don't know if you read it. I want to recommend that book to you. It's a wonderful book to read on marriage called 5 Love Languages. He says that couples tend to give and to receive love in 5 main areas. Beautiful book. What are the 5 main areas? He says one is words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. It's called the 5 love languages, where he says couples tend to receive and give love. So we want to look at these 5 areas. Yeah, these 5 beautiful areas, 5 love languages or the emotional needs of our spouse. One is called words of affirmation. What is affirmation? Affirmation is a declaration that something is true. It's a declaration that something is true. It's a positive statement, a statement intended to provide encouragement, emotional support, or motivation. So words of affirmation are very, very important in our married life. You see, all of us have something called a love tank. Love tank, and this tank needs to be continuously filled. You can't fill the tank once and leave it. The love tank needs to be continuously filled. If the love tank is empty, then you will come with a critical spirit. You'll start criticizing, you'll find fault with every small little thing. That is because the love tank is empty. That's a sign that the love tank is empty. So what must you do? Fill the love tank. With what? With love, obviously. Yeah, with love, words of affirmation. Yeah, tanks can be filled by the love of language of your spouse. That's why you must learn to understand, hey, what is the love language of my spouse? What is the emotional need of my spouse? When you know the emotional need of your spouse, you will meet that need. If you don't know, then you're at a loss, because you'll be meeting a wrong need and you'll be wondering, why is your spouse still not happy? Because you're meeting the wrong need. Yeah. For example, if your spouse says, you never say a good word. Yeah, sometimes we hear spouses telling this. No, you never say a good word. Here is the problem. Yeah. What does that mean? The spouse is telling you that the spouse needs affirmation. So what must you do? Examples, let me give you words of affirmation. For example, you can say, I love being with you. Thank you for always being there for me. I love your smile. See, these are things that will build a relationship. I don't know what I would do without you. Those are words of affirmation. I thank God for bringing you into my life. These are amazing, powerful statements that will build a relationship. Words of affirmation means we give compliments, give good compliments. If when a meal is prepared, say thank you for this meal. When a person comes back from work, say thank you that you worked so hard for us to bring bread on the table. See, these compliments enhances the relationship, because man and woman who have this need, emotional need, they need words of affirmation. Offer encouragement. Encourage people. Don't put down people. Yeah. Acknowledge a job well done. Speak kind words. Express words that are valued. Offer emotional support, and very important. They are words of affirmation. Yeah. How to convey affirmation? Yeah. How to convey affirmation? This is very important. Yeah. See, to convey affirmation, speak that word face to face. say to your spouse. It's very important. It can be one. Second way, it can be through a text. Let your spouse know that you are thinking of him or her. Send a message when you're in office. I love you. Thank you for ironing my shirt today. Yeah, I thanked my wife today, for ironing my shirt that I'm wearing, because I was so busy, I couldn't iron my clothes for today's recording, but my wife did it. What did I say? Thank you so much. Yeah, we need to do this to enhance the relationship. It can be a handwritten letter, it can be a text, it can be a WhatsApp message, it can be a phone call. See, these are the ways of expressing one's affirmation to your spouse. Yeah, sending cards, giving cards. At least cards are going out of fashion today, but we should learn to give card at least for a birthday, anniversary. Because cards have a wonderful way of expressing that love of yours that you cannot say, the card says that word. Yeah, it's also a good idea for your spouse to know, hey, he prepared for my birthday, he prepared for the anniversary, he was thinking about it, she was thinking about it. That is the idea behind this. Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 verse 12 says, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. You see, the 3 cord strand represent husband, wife and God. That is why it's called sacrament. Matrimony is a sacrament. It's just not 2 people coming together in marriage. No. In the Catholic Church, marriage is a sacrament. 2 people come together, God is present. It's a covenant. These 3 form a close relationship that is not easily broken. And together they are united with one God and become even stronger. That's why Paul writes in Romans 8:31, if God is for us, who can be against us? So 2 are very strong. And that's why we must build our relationship together. You see, the next emotional need or next love language to communicate effectively is, you see, we must learn to spend quality time. Some spouses need that. Some need only affirmation, but some may need quality time. They don't need affirmation, they need quality time. This language is all about giving the other person, that is your spouse, undivided attention. The person needs it. Your spouse wants that. That is the emotional need of your spouse. What must you do to enrich your marriage? Strengthen your marriage? You need to meet that need. Simple as that. If your spouse's language is quality time, then for the person this is critical. This will make the person truly special and loved. When you spend time, when you give the little quality time, when you pay attention, when you give undivided attention to that person, the spouse feels happy. That's the emotional need of the spouse, getting undivided attention. Failure to do so may result in hurt feelings. He has no time for me. Have you heard sometimes your spouse say, you have no time for me? That means the spouse is saying her or his emotional need is quality time. Quality time means sharing quality conversation and quality activities. Doing things together also. And also having this quality conversation. Quality time is powerful emotional communicator of love. Spending some quality time with your spouse. Just as one love language does not communicate emotionally to all people, of course. As I told you, somebody else's, one person's it may be words of affirmation, one will be quality time, one may be receiving gifts. One may be serving others. So we must see what is the quality time. So listen to your spouse when they speak. If the spouse say, you have no time for me at all, here it is. That spouse is saying, quality time, I need quality time. So if you give your spouse affirming words when she needs or he needs quality time, it's not going to fulfill her need or his need. Again, the spouse is going to tell you, oh, you don't give me time. But you'll think, I gave you enough time. I gave you a lot of compliments. I gave you a lot of gifts. But that's not the need of the spouse. The need of the spouse is quality time. Have you ever heard sometimes the spouse will tell you, you don't ever have time for me. We used to do things together. Now you're so busy and too tired. It's a very clear indication, dear sisters and brothers, that your spouse wants quality time. They are telling you that their primary love language or emotional need is quality time. So how to have quality time with your spouse? Very simple. Yeah. Cultivate common interests. See what you like to do together. Going for a walk in the evening, you'd like to do it together. Yeah. So find out what are the common interests. Have a regular date night, in the sense like, when you say regular date night, make sure, is it possible to go once a month with your spouse alone for a dinner or for a coffee, for a cup of tea, to go to a coffee shop. See, those things matter a lot for the spouse whose emotional need is quality time. Plan vacations together. Go on a night getaway with the children. Set aside regular time to talk together without distractions. Very important, right? That is because that's the need of the spouse. The spouse will feel loved. If you give a gift, receiving gift, if you give a gift, but the spouse will not be still happy. Why? The spouse needs your time, not the gift. So you may think, hey, I bought an expensive watch for him or for her, and they are still not happy, and you'll be thinking, what else should I do to make you happy? But the need is different. The need is not about gifts. The need is about spending quality time together, to become accountable to each other. Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 verses 9 and 10 tells us, two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. For if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion. How amazing. Marriage. See this marriage, powerful marriage. Two are better than one. Because if one person falls, there is the other person to lift up the companion, to help the companion. That is the power of marriage. That's why praying together is so important. Yeah. The third love language or emotional need is receiving gifts. For some people, what makes them feel most love is to receive gifts. Yeah. You go out, you come back. If your spouse asks you, what did you bring me? What did you get me? It's a very clear indication that person, your spouse, emotional need is receiving gifts. In his beautiful book, 5 Love Languages, Gary Chapman writes, a gift is something you can hold in your hand and say, look, he was thinking of me, or she remembered me. The gift itself is a symbol of the thought of love. You see, it is not about the gift. It is about the thought behind the gift that helps that spouse and keeps the marriage alive and keeps love in the marriage. Yeah, as I told you, if your spouse says, you never get anything for me, yeah, it's a clear indication that spouse's need is receiving gifts. This person's love language or emotional need is to receive gifts. The love language is not about materialism, it is about remembrance. He remembered me. She's thinking of me. Yeah, by the gift. We went out and he brought me this. She brought me this. He was thinking of me then too. That is very important in marriage. So this love language or emotional need is about love, thoughtfulness, and the effort behind the gift. Effort behind the gift. For these people, a missed birthday, anniversary, or a hasty, thoughtless gift can be disastrous. Such people will get wild, angry, feel very hurt, disappointed, rejected if you don't give a gift on the birthday, anniversary, or you bring the wrong gift. You're not thoughtful enough. You brought the wrong thing. So therefore, for such people, you need to know that receiving gifts is their emotional need. Therefore, we have to understand our spouses and say, hey, which is their emotional need? Is it words of affirmation? Is it receiving gifts? Is it quality time? Because for each spouse, the love language is different. The emotional need is different, and we need to know what is the emotional need of my spouse to meet that emotional need. Yeah, gifts are visual representations of love and are treasured greatly. As I said, not the gift alone, the thought behind it. Yeah. For some spouses, their emotional need is acts of service. Yeah. An act of service is doing things you know your spouse would like you to do. Yeah. I help out at home. My spouse likes me to do this. That's an act of love. Yeah. You seek to please your spouse and express your love for your spouse by doing things for him or her. If done with a positive spirit, they are indeed expressions of love. Your wife wants you to wash dishes in the night. Yeah, after the meal, your wife wants you to wash dishes in the night. But you bring her a gift. She'll say, to hell with your gift. I don't want your gift. I want your help. Why? Your spouse's emotional need are acts of service, not receiving gifts. Or you go and pay a compliment when she's washing the gift. You are doing a fantastic job. You better run out of the kitchen. Because you're giving the wrong emotional need. What she needs is acts of service. Can I help you in washing the dish? Can I take the garbage out? Can I buy the groceries? These things help their spouse because their spouse's emotional need is acts of service. Sometimes we hear spouses saying, right, you only sit and do nothing. Right? You only sit and do nothing. Why? Your spouse's emotional need is acts of service. And therefore we need to help and not do anything else. Acts of service can be like, as I said, cooking a meal. Sometimes for your spouse and washing the dishes, taking out the garbage, helping out in the chores, preparing a favorite meal, doing the groceries, whatever chores. See, your spouse's emotional need is that. Acts of service. If this is your spouse's primary love language, nothing speaks as loudly as acts of service. Remember, action speaks louder than words. You may give him or her words of affirmation, they will say, keep quiet. I don't want you to talk. I don't want your affirmation now. If you loved me, you would do something around here. If you loved me, you would have helped me with the children. Yeah, have you heard of that? If you loved me, you would have helped me with the dishes. Yeah. For that spouse, acts of service is an act of love, not anything else. Very, very important. For them, actions truly speak louder than words. Ephesians chapter 4 verses 2 and 3 says, be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with each other in love. Look at that. Bearing with each other, tolerant with each other in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. How can you get unity in the Spirit? How can there be peace? How can there be love? See what is the emotional need of your spouse and do it. If a husband and wife are humble, patient, gentle, selfless in a relationship, this will cause less confrontation, arguments, and misunderstandings. Surely, isn't it? Therefore, we need to see how to communicate effectively with our spouses by knowing the emotional need of our spouse. And the last one is physical touch. This language isn't all about, only sex. No. Physical touch means the primary love language of a person is touch. Hugs, pats on the back, just holding hands, thoughtful touches on the arm, shoulder. They can all be ways of showing excitement, concern, care, and love. You are never with me. Have you heard of that statement? You never come out with me. They want you to be there. You never touch me. You never hold me. You see, why? For the spouse, physical touch is an emotional need. That person, he or she feels loud when that is done. So that is the emotional need of this person. Physical presence and accessibility are crucial. You see, you're always outside the house. Have you heard of this? We are supposed to say, you're always outside. Why? The spouse wants you to be there. Physical proximity. While neglect or abuse can be unforgivable and destructive. Yeah. It's so important. Knowing the spouse's emotional needs is so important, you know. If a spouse says something like this, I feel very lonely. I miss your presence. It's a clear need. It's a clear sign. The spouse's emotional need is physical touch. I feel very lonely. Imagine getting married. After marriage, if a spouse says, I feel lonely. How sad. Why? The spouse's physical or emotional need is physical touch. So my dear brothers and sisters, all of us are called to make Christ the center of our marriage, right? All of us. We are called to build our marriages on the sure foundation of Jesus. Jesus is the third person in our marriage. That's why marriage is a covenant, not an agreement. It's not a contract. It's not a contract. Catholic marriages are not contracts, they are covenants. So we need to get to discover the primary love language of our spouse. Get to know what is the emotional need of your spouse. Is it, words of affirmation? Is it quality time? Is it receiving gifts? Is it acts of service? Is it physical touch? Get to know them. Read the book. Gary Chapman, 5 Love Languages. It's one of the best sellers. It's available in all bookstores. Please get the book. Read it together if you like. And understand what is the emotional need or the love language of your spouse so that you can meet it. And when you meet that love language, that emotional need, your marriage will be wonderful, joyful, loving and happy. That is the way marriage it can become purposeful, fulfilling and long lasting. Okay. So my dear brothers and sisters, God is calling every one of us, that our marriage, that domestic church, our family lives in love, peace and unity. That contributes not only to our well-being, but to the well-being of the church. And that is why marriage is so critical in today's world. And when this does not happen, you will find cracks in your marriage. Many people are complaining today, right? Cracks in their marriage. The reason is this: they don't know how to live with their spouses. You don't make that mistake. Yeah, you don't make the mistake. Make sure Christ is the center of your marriage. Your marriage is built on the firm foundation of Jesus Christ. The Holy Spirit is within you and He can work in you, through you in your marriage. And that's why understand the 5 love languages of a spouse. Understand it. Check out your spouse. What your spouse needs. Is it affirmation? Words of affirmation? Is it quality time? Is it receiving gifts? Is it acts of service? Is it physical touch? And according to the emotional need of your spouse, if you meet that emotional need, your marriage will be very, very fulfilling, satisfying and happy. Amen. Praise God. God bless you.